What's happening, friends? Welcome back to Dynamo DeFi. My name is Patrick, and on this channel I talk about cryptocurrency, decentralized finance, and economics. So if you like those topics, be sure to like and subscribe. Today's video is another episode of Yield Farm Friday. Every Friday, I go through some of the most exciting DeFi projects that allow you to earn yield on your cryptocurrency. Today's video, I'm going to go through a couple fewer projects than normal, only 4, and most of these are going to be a bit safer than the normal, completely degenerate 100,000% APR farms we normally go through, simply because the market's rocky right now. So I think that it's a time to still be making investments in cryptocurrency if you're interested in the space, but to perhaps go risk off, or at least as risk off you can be when you're farming with 200% APRs. That being said, some of these today came from viewers. Some of these are farms that I found myself. And I think we got some good stuff for you today. Before I begin, I want to give a couple quick notes on some of the things that I like to look for in projects so that you can go out and do your own research, as you should be doing, and find things on your own. So the first thing I like to do is, of course, figure out how we can mitigate risk as much as possible on the projects. We're dealing with a very high risk, high reward environment in cryptocurrency, and even more so when we're dealing with small DeFi projects. But it's nice to avoid the risk as much as you can, and a lot of that means avoiding getting rug pulled, etc. So the first thing I like to do is look for things that would help us mitigate the chance of getting rug pulled. And the two main things I like to look at for that are, is it audited? So usually they'll display that prominently on the website if it is. And the second thing is it who's behind it? So is it a well-known developer who's built other projects in the past? Is it someone who's doxed either publicly or with RugDoc? Is it someone who's affiliated with the official organization of a layer one? A lot of these exchanges have someone who's either from a layer one or they received a grant from the foundation of the layer one. And in that case, you can be pretty confident that it's not a scam at a minimum. The next thing I like to look for is, are the devs actively adding new features? Because besides getting rugged, the very, very worst thing that can happen to a project that you invest in is it becomes a dead project. I've invested in some like this where you're waiting for updates, you're looking for updates from devs, and you just notice that the project sort of stops publishing on social media or becomes more and more aloof, and nothing really changes with the project. Meanwhile, the rest of the space is moving forward at a lightning pace. So always look to see if the devs are adding new features. And sometimes that can be simple things. Did users in the Discord of the project say that they didn't like the UI and the devs changed it? That might seem simple, but that can actually show a lot about the other sorts of things that the devs might be working on and their willingness to invest time into the project. Next thing I like to look at as we get more into figuring out whether it's something that, and now that we've kind of covered the risk, but whether it's something that will have a good reward, is what's unique about the project. So is it on a new network? One of the projects we'll look at today, you can see it on the screen now, Vexchange, is the first DeFi project on the network that it's on, so that would make it unique. Or did they add some sort of unique financial tool that's going to attract people to use the platform? And then finally, of course, what are the rates? We're looking for high yield things here that can generate us passive income that will grow our crypto portfolios over time. And that's what I look for. There's other stuff too, but those are the 5 main things I like to look at. Who's behind it? Is it audited? Are the devs active? What's unique? And what are the rates? 5 things. So with that being said, let's get into the projects for today. The first project is Vexchange. Vexchange is the first DeFi project, as far as I'm aware of, on the VeChain network, VeChain with their VET token. If you've been in the cryptocurrency space for a while, you are probably familiar with VeChain. VeChain's been around since before the last cycle in 2017 and 2018. And VeChain, what it is essentially is it's a blockchain that is used to track supply chain, combat counterfeiting, and also to create what they call enterprise NFTs. So that would be sort of tied to the combat and counterfeiting, but creating an NFT to verify something for a company. And they have some of the biggest partners in cryptocurrency right now, partners that most projects could only dream of. Walmart China, DHL, a major logistics company, various departments within the Chinese government are partnered with them. They're also partnered with a European government with some sort of health tracking application. And so you can imagine that there's potentially a lot that this project could do, and they just don't get as much attention because they're more focused on the enterprise corporate side. but they are by far the biggest, most active blockchain in China. Some people think that blockchains aren't allowed to operate in China. That's not true. Some are, and VeChain is one of them. And they finally have DeFi now. So Vexchange is DeFi on the VeChain network. And let's go through the kind of details of Vexchange then. So they were built with a grant from the VeChain Foundation. As far as I can tell, they haven't been audited. I haven't been able to find any information on that. If you are familiar with Vexchange and you know if they've been audited, feel free to drop a comment. So that would be nice to see, just to make sure that there's no exploits in the code, but they were built with a grant from the VeChain Foundation. So again, that gives you some confidence that it's not gonna rug pull on you. And I'm kind of conflicted on this one because I don't know, will there be an active DeFi scene on VeChain? They have a phenomenal community, a huge community on Twitter and in Telegram, cryptocurrency space. But again, their blockchain is more geared towards enterprise things. My thought is, though, perhaps there will be. I'm not familiar with most of these tokens on here now. At a minimum, people will be swapping VET for VETHO. VETHO is sort of the secondary token within their network that's used to pay for gas, whereas holding VET earns you VETHO. I'm not going to go into the whole tokenomics now, but they have a 2-token system. At a minimum, people will want to swap those, and I can imagine some situations where enterprises that are using VeChain issue their own tokens eventually, and those might be swapped on here as well. Again, purely hypothetical. Or perhaps other applications, other enterprise applications that are built on VeChain have their own tokens, and those could be swapped on here. So if that plays out, then it could be quite valuable. And right now, if you go to farm.vexchange.io, they have 150% APR on the VEX VET pair. So if you're bullish on VeChain, if you're bullish on the VeChain ecosystem, then now is a great chance to be accumulating VEX token. And VEX is, of course, the native token of Vexchange. So that's the lowdown on Vexchange. Do you like VeChain? Do you like Vexchange? Let me know down below. Next up, we have Abracadabra Money. So the next two projects, Abracadabra and Popsicle Finance, are both made by Danielle Sesta, who's also the founder of Wonderland. And both of these deserve their own video, and I will do a separate video about each of these. But I had some requests to cover them now, so I'm going to go through some basics of them and how you generate yield today. But I will have a more detailed video in the future. So let's start with Abracadabra. Abracadabra is unfortunately mostly on the Ethereum network right now, although they do have some things that you can do on Phantom and Avalanche as well. So let's take a look at Ethereum to start. I just had to switch my network there. And Abracadabra has their native Spell token. So if you've seen Spell, which is now in the top 100, one of the top DeFi projects, that comes from Abracadabra. And basically what you can do here is you can farm, you can borrow, and you can stake. And I'll go through each of those one at a time. As soon as this thing loads. There we go. So first let's go through borrowing. So borrowing on Abracadabra. Abracadabra is also a stablecoin issuing platform with their MIM, Magic Internet Money, tied to the US dollar. And basically what you can do here is you can stake tokens that earn a yield, either individual tokens or liquidity pool tokens. And in exchange for those, you can borrow MIM. So it's sort of like MakerDAO in that respect. Except that they have to all be yield-bearing assets. So you stake it here. You can see there's pools from Curve, there's FTM, FTT, SHIB, Spell, all sorts of things. You provide it here, you pay an interest rate, and then you borrow. So this isn't really yield farming, but if you have some LP tokens you want to borrow against, it's a fine lending platform. But the farming part comes in here. If you want to provide liquidity for Spell, or provide liquidity for MIM. So that's the interesting part. If you provide liquidity for MIM, their stablecoin, then you can actually receive Spell tokens in exchange for that. And the ROI on this one is better on the Phantom network. So for example, if you were to deposit ETH Spell, you would earn 73% annually, which is pretty good for what's quickly becoming a blue chip DeFi project. You can also stake your spell over here in the stake section. And this is sort of a standard model. We see a lot of places you stake spell, you receive S spell instead, and then fees from the platform are used to buy back spell, thus increasing the value of S spell over time. And that the APR of that is approximately 23%. So that is the basics of Abracadabra. Again, there's a lot more to go through here. I'll quickly show you what it looks like on the other platforms, because if you're not a whale, you're not using huge transactions, the fees on Ethereum will make this somewhat difficult to get a good ROI on. If we go over to Phantom, though, we can still do some of the functionalities. We can't stake, unfortunately. Yeah, so you cannot stake here, unfortunately. You can still borrow fewer assets, but you can borrow against your Phantom. And in farming, I think this is probably the best farm on here. It's only 21% ROI, but it's the 3-pool on curve. So basically, you are providing 3-pool V2, which is going to be 3 stable coins. So you're providing MIM, USDT, and USDC to curve on Phantom. And in exchange, you get this LP token, which you can use to farm for spell. So I'll go through the details of this in a later video, a full tutorial, because I know it's a bit complicated, especially when you're providing liquidity with 3 tokens at once. But know that you can basically earn 20% in a blue chip DeFi token by providing stablecoins. And I think this is probably my favorite stablecoin farm at the moment. Because you think, even if it's only 20% now, if you think spell has the potential to double or triple, then it's really 40%, 60% on a long enough time frame. That's the basics of Abracadabra, and Avalanche doesn't have farming yet, they just have borrowing, so I won't go through that in detail. Now let's hop over to Popsicle Finance. I'll close out some of those tabs. I'll switch back to the Ethereum network. Popsicle is unfortunately mostly on Ethereum as well, but they're expanding to Phantom, they're expanding to Avalanche. They've made it very clear that they're going to be a multi-chain platform, so I'll go through the basics of it now. So Popsicle Finance brands itself as a multi-chain yield optimization platform for liquidity providers. Turn on your autopilot, relax, and boost your yield. That's their slogan, not mine. Although I do like that slogan, but just for anyone listening, I was reading that off the website. So if I go to their V3 optimizer, what is this? Basically, Uniswap V3 allows people to provide liquidity for only a narrow range of trading, and in exchange, they can receive a higher APR than they would otherwise. And there's a lot of complicated strategies that you can use to optimize your APR with this. The problem is, if you aren't playing with 6 figures, hundreds of thousands of dollars, then probably it's not economical for you to do this, because you're going to be paying $100, $200 every time you adjust your range, every time you claim rewards, all that. So what Popsicle does is it has strategies that can optimize this for you. So basically, Danielle, the founder, likes to create things. He calls it for Frog Nation or Occupy DeFi, or says he's building products for the people. So if you're one of the great masses who can't afford those Ethereum fees, you maybe can afford to deposit your funds once, and then this platform will optimize it for you. And so you can see that's why they have some coins like AXS ETH is 110% right now. Phantom ETH, so this is of course going to be wrapped Phantom on the Ethereum network, is 130%. SHIB ETH is 480%. Spell ETH, 180%. Even USDC ETH is 52%, and I won't go through all of these now, but these yields are pretty decent for the coins that are in them, and they also allow you to earn additional rewards if you provide liquidity on their ICE token. So ICE is the native token of Popsicle Finance, and ETH ICE right now is sitting pretty at 752% APR. Not too shabby, although it looks like that pool may be fully capped, because some of the pools do have caps on them. Well, they all have caps, but most of them are not at their caps. They also have this stand section here. And so kind of similar concept, but with a different layout here. And you can see they also allow you to provide liquidity on SushiSwap for their ICE token as well, and it's a very similar APR. They also have staking on here, so ICE, you can stake it and receive NICE, or NICE, if you will, in exchange. And right now, they're pretty much equal. 1 NICE is equal to 1.0075 ICE. However, 20% of platform profits will be redirected to NICE holders. So as more people use this platform, as profits accumulate, they'll be used over here to boost the value of NICE for people who have staked their ICE. And again, this is built by one of the top developers in DeFi right now, and I'm expecting a lot of integrations with Abracadabra, with Wonderland. So I think this is going to be just a massive magnet for liquidity eventually, especially once they go cross-chain. And I think once they capture that liquidity, there'll be a lot of interesting things they can do. So I'm very bullish on this project. Not financial advice like everything I say, but I like this project a lot. Let's take a quick look at Phantom to see what you can do there, since I know most people who watch this channel won't be yield farming on Ethereum. So you cannot stake it, similar to Abracadabra. You can't do V3 optimizer because Uniswap is not on other chains, but what you can do is provide liquidity for ICE. So ICE Phantom on SushiSwap or ICE Phantom on SpookySwap, you can provide liquidity for them. And of course, this is SushiSwap on the Phantom network. You can provide liquidity, and you're looking at 110 to 120% APR, which I think is pretty solid, since I'm bullish on both these tokens. And that's pretty much it for Popsicle Finance. Again, I'll do a longer video with a full tutorial and some potential places that this could go, but love this one, love Abracadabra, even if they're not your traditional yield farms. Finally, we have a viewer request, Biswap. Biswap is a DEX on the BSC network. And so a lot of interesting stuff going on here. So at its glance, you can see that it's a pretty standard fork of PancakeSwap, although they have their own exchange, which is nice. A lot of these platforms don't have their own exchange. They just have the front end, and then they send you somewhere else to actually trade your funds. So they have their own exchange, which is nice. And they also have an NFT launchpad, which they've used so far to launch their own NFTs. And I'll go to the farms in a second, because they have farms, of course. That's what we're here for. But if you go to the NFT staking, then the APR on this is actually pretty nice. So yeah, you can see here the APR is 567% on their NFTs. Doesn't get much better than that. Unfortunately, I couldn't find a place to buy their NFTs right now. They have a marketplace launching, which they said would be launched by 11/13, which is currently tomorrow as the time I'm making this video. So hopefully that launches soon and we can see how much the NFTs would cost. But 567% distributed in a combo of their BSW token, BNB, USDT, and then this BFG token that I'm not familiar with. So that's kind of interesting if you want to try that out. Potentially high risk depending on the price of the NFT, but that is a nice APR. As far as farms go, they have, if you're using something with their native BSW token, either with BNB or USDT, you're looking at 220 to 260%, which is nice. Even on other tokens like AVAX BNB, you're looking at 95%. SHIB BNB, 183%. Floki BNB, 167%. Phantom BNB, 70%. So they have some pretty solid yields on there. And I think that's because, I'll hop over to some analytics. I think that's because they've actually been able to maintain a pretty significant volume on this platform. I checked this and I was expecting this to be like in the hundreds of thousands or low millions, but they've actually been able to maintain, they've grown from being 50 to 100 million beginning of October to now they're doing 100 to $200 million of volume on the platform pretty much every day, and they've got over $500 million locked on here. So I think that's why they've been able to sort of keep their rates up because the more activity they have on the platform, the more fees they have, which means that they're able to maintain the token of their the price of their BSW token. So pretty impressed here, and shout out to the person who asked me to cover this one. Another interesting thing they have, well, they have a lottery. They have some other competitions coming. They also have a referral program. So you can invite people to it and earn a commission. So the highest I can make the commission for friends, which would be any of you that use this referral code I'm going to post, was 50%. I tried to make it 100%, but it seems that 50% is the highest that it will go. If you decide to use this platform, no pressure to use this, but if you don't have a referral code, the fees are just burned. So I figured I would make one so you guys could at least get half of them back. Well, the commission reward is burnt if you don't have a referral code, so you might as well get half of it back. And that's pretty much what there is for Biswap. Oh, they are audited, so they're audited by Certic. That's great to see. Again, one of the things we look for, and they've been able to maintain volume. So definitely one to watch, especially if you're on Binance Smart Chain. You can even earn solid yields on some safe coins here. And that's all I got for you today. Hope you guys found some of these projects interesting. Let me know if there's any other projects you want me to cover on Yield Farm Friday of next week. Always looking for viewer suggestions for this show. And until next time, this is Dynamo DeFi.